Hey guys, welcome to my channel. If you are new here, welcome. If you're not new here, welcome back, y'all. My name is Danielle, and this is my spiritual journey. Okay, yes, y'all will be seeing this sweatshirt a lot, first of all. Second of all, yes, the camera is mighty close because it is really sunny outside, even though it's cold, it's really sunny outside. And so this is why we here face to face. Okay, so as you see from the title, we are talking about shadow work. I'm not going to talk about shadow work. I'm going to give you an example so that you can see for yourself what shadow work may look like and how to resolve or start to resolve some of the issues. Um, I will be using some examples that I have come across. Again, I've been doing this for some decades, guys. And so, with me doing this, I do not call it shadow work, and I've never called it shadow work, but it is indeed what it is. So, the way that I'm going to explain it is a little bit different from the way that I actually work on it. There are people when you are in the spiritual communities, they may come up to you and they're like, "Man, I have an issue with self-sabotage. I'm always self-sabotaging. Can you help me get to the root of it?" And so that's where, you have some people in the spiritual communities, they may say, "Okay, let's do some shadow work around self-sabotage," right? When I am working with clients, it is not that case. It is not that situation. A lot of people may not even know that shadow work is a thing. They may not know what they are dealing with, right? They just know that they have some issue and they want it to stop, right? They have a recurring thing, something that's been happening over and over and over and over again. They spy it with their little eye and they're like, no, let me fix this, right? And so I'm gonna give you an example. This is not an actual client, guys. But let me give you an example. So let's say that it is self-sabotage, right? Self-sabotage is just so that you know that that's what we're going to be working with. That is not how I would identify it, right? So let's say that we actually have someone who comes in and they're like, oh my goodness, so this is what happens. I have this thing that I'm supposed to be doing. It's a goal, it's a project, whatever it is. I have this thing. It is so easy for me to do. And let's say that it has 10 steps. I get to step number 8, and then I just abandon it. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe it wasn't aligned with me or something the case. And so then I start another project that I'm really passionate about. And I get to step 8 and then I abandon it. Like I haven't seen a project through and I don't know what it is. I need help. Like I'm just tired of all these different things and I'm really good at all of them. I'm good at a lot of things, but I don't see anything through. And so it's like, okay, let's get to it. Let's get to it. In the spiritual communities, there's a lot of people that's just like self-sabotage. And it's because you're afraid of failing type thing, right? And so let's just get into it. I might step on some toes. My bad, y'all. Okay, so self-sabotage. Let's just listening to this person. They get to step 8 and then they stop and just abandon it and do something else. So you do get a sense that they are going for things that they love, that they're passionate about, and that they have, I have where I'm going all the way to step 8, but then I stop. So there's something at the top that they are trying to avoid. What is at the top? And so then I just start asking, so what happens, if you get to number 8 and you stop? How do you feel when you stop? Frustrated, angry, mad because I was so close and I gave up or I just stopped or I abandoned it and I'm not a quitter. That's not who I am or anything, but there's just something where like I just feel completely deflated and something is going on and I just can't get through it. Okay. So let me ask you, how do you feel about failing? I don't like it. Okay. You don't like failing. So let me ask you this. How do you feel about succeeding? Ah, man, I would love to succeed. Okay. So you know what it looks like when you fail, right? You've already been there. You've told me that you started several projects and you've been on the end of failing. Tell me what it looks like to be on the end of succeeding. To be on the end of succeeding, let's see. So in my head, if I succeed, this right here could generate a large amount of money. Okay. So with this money, what would you plan to do with it? Oh man, like I would definitely move into my first house. I would pay off my car. I would take a vacation. And yeah, like I could definitely see this as being something that continues to pan out. And I would do it again and again and again. Okay. So let me ask you this. There's probably something else that you feel but you're not saying. So feel into having this money and succeeding. Tell me what that looks like. Okay. Well, I do feel like there would be a sense of pride because there are people that are looking at me as a failure. And with them looking at me as a failure, then it's like, okay, I'm just basically under the radar. Like, I don't feel good about it, but they feel good. So I would definitely be proving them wrong because they would be like, oh, so she can succeed. Okay, so these people that you're talking about that feel like you are a failure, so they're overlooking you. What like what do they play? What roles do they play in your life? Um, like I have family members and things like that. And then I have people who I just don't like and don't care about. Okay, so let's go to your family members first. Are any of these friends as well, or are we just talking about family members and people that you don't care about? Um, There may be some friends and family members. Okay, so let's go and let's look at this a little bit. What does this look like? Okay, so if I succeed, then those friends, because they have supported me, I would want to help them in some way, like to give back and things like that, because I know I can. Okay, so now let's look at that a little bit. You would want to help out your friends and family members. Yeah, I mean, they've helped me. Okay, so let me get this right. You have where you'd want to do your house, pay off your car, take a vacation, but you also have friends and family members that you want to help. Yeah. How does that affect your money? How does that affect you wanting to do the things that you want to do? Well, I may not have enough to do it right then. Okay, so what I'm hearing you say, and correct me if I'm wrong, but what I'm hearing you say is that if you succeed, then you have a bit of responsibility when it comes to finances to not just do the things that you want to do in life, but maybe you feel obligated to help other people around you that have been there for you in all the times where you feel that you failed. Well, yeah. So if you are someone who may not feel like that is a step that you want to take or that you were able to take on all of that responsibility financially, does that feel like something that will probably keep you from taking steps 9 and 10 and stopping at step 8? Well, I didn't really think about it until you said it, but it is something to have to, do that thing right there. Like if I could find another way to tell them thank you, but they probably want the finances as well, because I do see myself being immensely successful and being completely financially stable. Okay. So if you see yourself being there, what would be wrong with you taking the first step, get to the eighth step, take the ninth step, the 10th step? Once you become who you envision yourself to be, it may take the first project, it may take 10 projects, but once you get to be there, wouldn't it be okay? Like if these people are really like cool people, like your friends and family members that you're talking about, wouldn't it be cool if they waited until you were actually on your feet? Or do you really think that they would be like, oh, so you made $100 and you can't give me 50? Do you feel like those are your friends? And if you feel like your friends would be like that, are they truly your friends? And so, like, it's that right there that I would just go and walk through to see. So we have where our pretend person gets to step 8, they avoid step 9 and 10. And the reason that they are avoiding it is because they feel that while they will be compensated immensely financially, they also feel like they will then have to turn right around and pay. maybe their friends and family members, or if it's not paying, then to thank them, for always being there for them and thank them in the form of finances, and so we would just go through and we would work through all those things and to essentially reframe how success looks for that individual so that that individual can then start taking steps 9 and 10. And then once that individual takes steps 9 and 10, they are successful. They get the reward that they know is waiting for them once they finish step 10. And then we don't have to give the money here or here. We don't even have to spend that money to pay off our car or do any of those things. We would reframe in a completely different way so that once this person reaches step 10, this is the way that works for them. And it is a way that is completely in alignment with them. And so it allows them to take steps 1 through 10 and then repeat steps 1 through 10 and just do and go from there because they would understand at the end that at the end of the day, these people have had their back for the entire time or had their back in a way that they still are feeling loyal, thankful, accountable to them, friends and family members. And so, with that being said, um, we would go through and identify each of the friends and family members and be like, okay, so don't you feel like this person, because they've waited this amount of time, don't you feel that they would be okay to continue to wait until you were financially stable? Or do you think that they would really want something from you, first of all, in the form of finances? Or do you think that they would take it from you before you're even financially stable? And if so, then we would work on boundaries and setting the boundaries and enforcing the boundaries and all the different things. Like it's just a lot of different things. Shadow work is definitely something that I feel to get to the root of it, to get to the heart of it, and to not just get to the heart of it and know what it is, but to actually have steps so that we can move forward and move forward successfully with whatever it is our fear is, our hidden fear that we're not telling anybody about. Whatever that thing is, we can still get through it. And so, just holding the person accountable once they understand and things have been reframed is what I would do in that situation. So it's a little difficult because it's not an actual person in front of us, but that's an example, guys. And I walked through, and yes, I was being both people. I hope y'all picked that up. So and so that's an example, and that is labeled self-sabotage, but that's a way to get to the heart of that one. I may do self-sabotage again because there are many reasons that people may do the quote unquote self-sabotage. Like it may come up in different ways, even though people may label it as self-sabotage. You know, the same example, maybe instead of them getting to step 8 and then stopping, maybe something is where, they get to step 8 and then they just feel like maybe there's somebody else who's coming in. I have definitely seen where couples will have something going on and, one person in the relationship may be doing something, the other person may see it, not like it, and make them stop immediately. And so it's a different form, and then they allow that person to stop them. And so it's a different form because then it allows them to say, well, I didn't finish it because of, and then they put the blame on someone else. But again, it has so many different nuances, variables, and all the different things. But I wanted to give you an example of shadow work and how it may show up. The main thing is, there is something in your life that just keeps repeating like over and over and over again. Like you find a theme, and then from you finding the theme, don't just name it or say that it's, oh man, it's just because like I got a fear of failing, and that's why I stopped. Don't stop right there because if you stop with naming it or giving it a title or whatever the case is, you ain't dealt with it, right? You just gave it a name, and that name is just something that you feel is appropriate for it. It may not even be the actual thing because you didn't even go through the work. Like you are Let's say if we name this one self-sabotage, you are self-sabotaging yourself by not even getting to the heart of it, reframing it, working with it, and getting through it, right? There are some things that you don't necessarily get through, especially like there's a lot of times I've worked with people who dealt with traumas, and that's something that's completely different. But again, yeah, before this video gets to be like super duper long and unappreciated by everyone, I'm sorry, y'all, my bad. But seriously, that's an example of shadow work. I do, like I said, I do shadow work all the time. I've done shadow work um, on myself for a really, really long time, and I'm always doing shadow work on myself. There's always something, and it's just like refining myself and up leveling myself and all the things. And so, that is something that, again, I don't label as shadow work, but it is something that we all need to do as we see where we have room for improvement, and to help with this video, if someone's looking through and you may be like, oh my goodness, I just need some titles. I need some names. So here's some titles, here's some names. So we have self-sabotage. Another common one would be anger, which that's definitely going to be a different roots in things. We have jealousy, we have insecurities, so there's a lot of different things. So if you're going through and you're like, oh my goodness, I see this, this, and this, like where, how, what, where, all the things. There's people who, and I worked on this for myself in the past. There's that money issue, and it's just like, well, what is going on with money? Money is, like I did say in a different video, that one is something that you actually start wearing. And so that can be more complex to get through. There are a lot of people who are just like, if you have money issues, let me help you with this block. But it is so complex. Let me give you an example. There was something that I was working with one time, but it was some time ago. And someone was like, well, I feel hatred in your heart. Like, I feel like you have hatred. Like, I'm getting a lot of hatred. And I was like, the hell, I don't have hatred. Like, I have no hatred. And so, someone else did the same thing. And they were like, I'm feeling hatred. I'm like, I have no hatred. This was when I was this was back a ways. And I was just like, I don't have. And so I went to go look for myself. And I was trying to see what they saw, and I had my helpers come and help me, my spiritual entities, y'all, spiritual entities. And so I'm having people and they're like, it's because they are saying hatred, but you don't identify as being someone who has hatred in your heart. Because as a Christian, you don't hate. And so I didn't have anything where I filed away as hating something, but I had a lot of things that I filed away as not liking, disliking. I really don't like this, but there was nothing under the hate file. So anytime people will be like, ah, man, like you hate this. And I'm like, no, I don't. And I'm looking and I would just go and look, if you ever do things spiritually. So yeah, I can get a peek inside my head. If you ever do things spiritually, like I went to this drawer and I saw where one was called hate or something. It was like a file, like you remember like in the library, you pull out the thing, you know, like the Dewey Decimal System, and you pull out the card catalog thing, and you pull out the drawer that has all these little bitty cards. Like I pulled out the one that said hate, and there was nothing there. It was completely empty. I was like, I told y'all, like there was nothing there. And so then somebody else was just like, one of my entities, y'all, one of my entities, not a real person, was just like, okay, it's because like your things aren't filed under hate. They're filed under I don't like and I dislike. And that's where it was. That them drawers was like full to overflowing. Like it was more, it was more than one. It was like a lot of, and I was like, yeah, I could definitely see that. And so then we took that file, and for the things that was under dislike and I don't like and I really don't like, they were like, okay, if you could put some things into hate, where would it go? What would go into the hate file? And that's how I was able to deal with it. And so when people are just like, they have these easy fixes or whatever for these things, especially when you're dealing with shadow work and they want to do like a one size fits all type blanket type thing. Yeah, we are so unique and individual. And, though somebody can say hate and you won't relate to it at all. They can say dislike and it's like, oh, okay. They can say dislike and it's going to miss over the people who actually have a file that says hate. They can say that you just got to watch your words and change your affirmations and things like that, but it could be one of your core beliefs that they are missing. So if this is your core belief and you believe this to your core, your affirmation won't change what that says. And so it's just all the different things, y'all. But that's that's it. That's our time for today, guys. And I'm just gonna put this under, I'm gonna label it as, shadow work and then self-sabotage so that people get an idea. But again, I don't label it as such because most clients are not going to come in and be like, I'm dealing with self-sabotage. They just gonna be like, look, I got this issue and this is what it is. And I'm like, okay, let's get to it. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything like that, they'll put it in the comment section. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And I will chat with y'all later. Okay, bye, y'all.